Is this duo? Is this going to be a problem? You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for rolling in. As you know, Mike Brown has been hired as the 32nd coach of the New York Knicks. And I've kind of learned that Mike Brown, he loves to practice. And he likes to practice really hard and really often. Kind of different than how Tom Thibodeau coached his team. And as we know, Josh Hart, he does not like to practice. He likes to focus on recovery. And we've all heard the story from the Roommates podcast. The first day Josh Hart got traded to the Knicks, they were going through a walkthrough. He was half-assing it, and Tom Thibodeau called him out. And then him and Tom Thibodeau became best friends that were ever best friends. Is it going to be a problem with Mike Brown and Josh Hart? I don't know. I do know this. Tom Thibodeau's practices were much more mental. Hart has talked about that. He said, Tibbs' practices aren't really what everyone makes it out to be, where we're running suicides and we're doing all these defensive slides and it's a conditioning workout. He's talked about it's been mental, going through mental reps. Like, it's more mentally taxing on having to learn all the coverages, how to learn all the plays and things of that sort, even though we never really ever saw those plays. I thought what Ian Begley said here was interesting, saying Mike Brown, he likes to work his teams hard, I've been told. They practice a lot. That would be a departure from Tom Thibodeau because he did not practice a ton, especially during the regular season. Brown's practices are known to be tough as well. Like, I was doing some research for this video, and I was watching some clips, and he's not afraid to call someone out. He's not afraid to cuss somebody out. We've all seen it. Malik, my effing top's about to explode. Like, we've seen him started to do the suicides, and he'll jump in as a defender, and he'll start defending his guys and all types of stuff, and it's just going to be a little bit more different, and I don't expect it to be a big thing, but it'll be a change-up for Josh Hart, and we know that Josh Hart was Tom Thibodeau's son that he never had, and he let some things slide. Mike Brown has no reason to let those things slide. And we also know that Mike Brown likes Josh Hart. At least he's been very complimentary of him in the past. When the Knicks recently whooped up on the Sacramento Kings, Mike Brown said Josh Hart just kicked our ass. He kicked our ass. Nobody put a body on him the entire night. So he respects him, and we like that. Fred Katz, The Athletic, saying this. Mike Brown, he loves to practice. A couple of decades ago, when he was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, his first head coaching job, he faced allegations of being too rigid, a similar arc to Thibodeau's. Look, the Knicks need more practice. You blow a 16-point lead in the Eastern Conference Finals, you probably should be practicing late-game situations. Tom Thibodeau, still love you. They could use a guy that's a little bit more, I don't want to say demanding and rigid because Tibbs is that, but maybe hearing all those same things in a different voice could help. Also, this ain't Sacramento. This ain't the baby Kings. What do you call a son of a king? Is that a what? A prince. These ain't the princes. This is the New York Knicks. They are adults. They are a veteran team. Like, they're all in their prime. They're all approaching 30. I think he'll have to handle it a little bit differently than he did in Sacramento, and he's got experience doing that. Coach Braun, Coach Kobe, Coach an older Steve Nash, Coach Dwight Howard, saw how Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson got it done. But there will need to be, I think, him adjusting a little bit compared to his days in Sacramento. Fred Katz, The Athletic, wrote this as well. Go support him. Saying players would describe Thibodeau's practices and shoot-arounds as more exhausting mentally than physically. He wouldn't run guys into the ground, but participants would have to learn and then retain each element of a coverage. Yet, Brown goes about his business in his own way. He will jump into a drill to show players that each tiny movement has a purpose. For example, the Kings wouldn't just rehearse where to go while trying to send a ball handler over a screen. If Brown felt one element of the coverage was imperfect, he would intervene, crouching into a defensive stance and showing what the defender should do with his hands. He would explain which leg goes where as he ventured to the proper spots on the court. Once he finished, he would dart to another area of the floor, mimicking another Kings player and displaying how these edits would affect what the help defenders were supposed to do. I can't wait for the practice clips. We've all seen the videos of him going crazy at Kings practice, and I can't wait to see that. I want to see him get on Josh Hart's ass. You're falling asleep. You're letting people in the Eastern Conference Finals cut back door in overtime, Josh Hart. Still can't believe he did that. Call his ass out. And it sounds like he will. Wally Szczerbiak, voice of the New York Knicks for MSG, played under Mike Brown in Cleveland and said, in the film room, Mike Brown gets his messages across. There's no messing around. And I love that. Hold every player accountable. Call out their bullshit. I think the Knicks bullshit didn't get called out enough last year because the bullshit kept happening. I don't expect it to be a problem, but it's going to be different. And different is good. Change is good, especially when you're not the best in the world already at it. Even then, change could be good as well. Brown has to figure out how to use Josh Hart and how to maximize Josh Hart. And the first question he's going to have to ask himself is Josh Hart a starter? He just had his best year in the NBA. That is Hart. And it was as a starter. But we all saw the downsides of playing Hart all of those minutes. And we saw the worst version of Josh Hart in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. It's a big summer for him. I need Josh Hart to be serious. I want him living with Jalen Brunson. And I don't mean to be doing freaking podcasts. I'm talking about every shot Brunson puts up this summer, I want you putting that shot up. Take your craft serious. They've joked before, Hart and Brunson, that Josh Hart likes to vacation in the offseason. Well, I need you to get in the gym. I need you to improve as a player. You're the swing man for this team. You're the X factor. This team goes as Josh Hart goes. And you had a hell of a regular season. And supposedly, Jalen Brunson said it, he'd never seen you work harder in an offseason. And what did we see that do? Turn you into a 14-point, 10 rebound, 6 assist guy. But I'm sure as the year went on, less focus went into the jump shot, less focus went into practicing, less focus went into tidying up the fundamentals and the technique, and it started to slip. And how do I know that? Because the numbers said it. You worked hard on the jumper all off season. It showed that it paid off in November and December. And then the wrist injury maybe or a finger injury, but the further you got away from the summer, the further you got away from 40% from downtown too. Like, when Josh Hart makes threes, the New York Knicks win. We showed you in the playoffs. He shot 37% because he shot really well against the Detroit Pistons. I forgot who we beat in round one. And he shot really well against the Boston Celtics. But he did not shoot well against the Indiana Pacers. And you did not beat the Indiana Pacers. 18%, Josh. 3 assists to 2.2 turnovers. We just need you to be better. And I think you know that you need to be better. So I don't think that I need to tell you this. I don't think anyone needs to tell you this. I think you know that. And I think you know you let the team down. And you've talked about that before. If Josh Hart can take another step, this team can take the final step. It's that simple. What do you think the Knicks should do with Josh Hart? It's hard to say bench him when he just averaged, what were the stats I read? 14, 10, and 6? But then you watch the repercussions of him starting, being guarded by centers, the paint being cloudy, no free driving lanes for Brunson and Cat. I think he's got to come off the bench. And instead of being a 35-minute per game guy, be a 28-minute per game guy. And in those 28 minutes, you go balls to the wall. You give everything you got out there. And you get back to being the Josh Hart that made all the little plays, that dove on the ground, that created extra possessions, that dominated the glass on both ends. Pour everything you got in those 28 minutes. It's on Mike Brown. You got to figure out a way to get it done, and hopefully you two guys don't butt heads in the film room and over Josh Hart not practicing, because you need to practice. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG @MarshallGreen_.